Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Social Remedy TV. Check it out. This is your source of inspiration, information, and motivation and healing. And we absolutely hate to gatekeep. There's zero tolerance for that. So let's begin. What are we talking about this week? What we're talking about this week is a financial conversation and how you can set yourself up to be in a great financial situation, right? And I think sometimes as young black men, we don't get to actually be exposed to information that we need to put us in a better situation. And so that's what this podcast is about. And I got one of my good friends, one of my great guys, man. I'm telling you, listen, this guy, let me just give you a brief synopsis of what he's done here in Indianapolis. Man, he owns so many Airbnbs, and I'm talking about successful at a young age, right? And he's willing to give us some of the knowledge of how to do that, how to tap in and do some of these things, right? Not only that, man, this dude is an interior designer, and I'm telling you all these things, right? This is outside of right, his real job, his job that he does. And I don't really want to say a real job, but man, this guy's an expert, and you really want to check him out. My good friend, Brandon Barlow.
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Yeah, what's up, man? What's up? Yes, sir.
That was a crazy intro. I wouldn't have said all of that, but we'll definitely get into it.
Okay, man. Listen, here we go. So, Brandon, how did you get started? Now, what do you do? What do you do right now as the main piece for a living? Like, what do you do now?
So it's interesting you just said that. So one of the things I've been noticing, no matter what I do and what I've been doing as far as my job, I've always been a little confused that no matter the education level or what you do, that this financial literacy, this financial planning seems to be missed on a lot of people. No matter if you make $250,000 or you make $50,000, you could be living paycheck to paycheck either way, and with a little bit of planning, that can go a long way. So right now, I'm going to be a Northwestern Mutual financial advisor. I'll be starting next month. So I'm doing all the tests, and I got 4 tests to pass before I can go and, start giving advice. But I'm super pumped about that to help us.
Yeah, man. Listen, I'm telling you. So I'm one of these guys, man, that I watch, I observe, right?
Yeah.
Before I speak sometimes. And as I've been watching some of the moves that you've made here in the community, man. It's really been super dope. You're an inclusive guy. You're not exclusive about certain information and things like that. No. And I've had questions about Airbnbs. Like, how has that been working, right?
Yeah, for sure. So the Airbnb piece was interesting. So let me back up. So I was working in tech.
Yeah.
I went to school for environmental science. So again, out of the realm.
That's crazy,
this, right? So I was going out and helping coordinate waste for oil spills and things like that, train derailments and stuff like that. So I call him a kid. He's not a kid anymore. But when he first came to the consultant firm, I met this kid. His name was Luke Jacobs, and he still runs the company that I worked at. But basically, he's like, man, we do a lot of this stuff and all this reporting by hand. So we're doing, reports for UPRR and CSX and all these major railroads. We're doing them by hand. He's like, one thing software is really good at is data sets and math. He's like, I think we can automate this system out. I'm like, okay. I don't know how to do that, but I believe in him. So I was like, hey, if you turn this to a real company, you can pay me just a little bit, we'll figure it out. So about a year later after that, he came, let me know that it was time. So I left that job, a real comfortable job. And it's interesting because I got inspired by someone that was younger than me, and it doesn't quite happen like that. Because my goal, I would have been comfortable there probably for the rest of my career. Right. Once I had my daughter, I think my goals changed about what I wanted to leave for her. So I'm like, look,
shout out to the daughter.
Shout out to the daughter. She's great. But one of the things I realized is like, I want to leave something for her. How do I do that? And how I know at this job I can be comfortable, but I won't be generationally wealthy comfortable. right? I want to leave something for her so she can learn from me, and then we start getting that train rolling. So that was my goal. So that's kind of how I ended up at 2020. So I got my two business partners, one being my cousin. He had his own Airbnb at his house. So he's like, man, I'm just asking questions, man.
My
He's
guy,
like,
Mike.
Yeah, boy Mike. Yeah.
Shout out to Mike. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Mike B.
He started his own Airbnb. He had to move out of his house because he said he was making too much money. So I'm like, how much money did you bring in last year? He was like, I made just on the Airbnb portion of it, and he was still partially living there. He's like, I made $45,000. I said, oh, I need to figure out how to get passive income like that. So we started doing Airbnbs, what we call the arbitrage model, meaning that we went to apartment owners and complexes and said, hey, we want
Hold on before you give them too much.
Yeah. Okay.
Listen. I gotta tell y'all, this is about to be a gem, and you really need to listen. Get your pen and paper out to understand what this guy is about to give you. I know you can go on YouTube, you can do all of those things, but you're getting this from a person that you can actually, especially if you're in Indianapolis, right? You can check him out. You can come. I'm telling you, you can see him. He's not a person that's standoffish or anything like that. He's going to give you the information that you need. So get your pens out. Get your pen and notebook out. Get your tablet out, whatever you use to start writing these things down. All right, because we're trying to see you go to the next level.
Absolutely.
So you good. So you were at that moment, right?
Yeah. So at that moment, we were like, all right, I need to figure out how to break into this. So I wanted to kind of dip my toe in without actually going and saying, look, I want to go buy a house right away. We didn't want to do that. So we used the arbitrage model, meaning that we went and we didn't own. We just said, hey, we want to take on multiple places at this place. Here's what we're doing. Here's a very, very key point. Make sure you let people know what you're doing. Do not try to hide the fact that you're going to go short-term rental and lease, and don't do that because they're going to find out. And
now, what is this model? Explain that part of the model.
So the arbitrage model basically is most apartment complexes will have a set percentage of the whole place that you can use for corporate leases, right? So corporate leases can mean a lot of things for a lot of people. So before Airbnb came along, you would have a corporate lease for a company like Lily. It was like, Lily, you guys have people come in all the time. We'll reserve 5 spots where people can come as they want, right?
Right.
So
Lily pay for that for the whole year.
Correct. They'll just pay you up front for the whole year.
Right.
Right. So we took a little spin on that and said, okay, what we're going to do was actually going to do the Airbnb. We're going to actually short term. And when I mean Airbnb, I'm just talking about short term rentals because we use multiple platforms, and everyone who wants to get in this business absolutely should. Airbnb will not keep you fed and you won't make any money. So we did short term rentals, and we let them know they were okay with that. You might run into the idea that people don't understand, like, okay, people are going to throw parties, but if you're a good host and you know how to screen, that's one of the things that we really thought huge. About. Make sure we can screen who's coming, at least the best we can. Right. So we try to avoid one night stays on the weekend. We try to make sure we screen the people that come in outside of what some of these platforms already provide you.
Okay.
So once we got that going, really, it's just like, all right, can we, the thing about these short-term rental places is that they're all run on some sort of algorithm, meaning that you want to be seen, and how you get seen is to make sure that you have a dope thumbnail picture. Now, it doesn't matter if people book necessarily, but the more clicks you get, the higher you get. You want to be on the first page. So we're talking about Airbnb because that's what most people use. But of course, there's Vrbo, there's Booking.com. There's a lot of things you can use, but you want to be seen. So what I focused on and how I got this interior design portion was like, all right, how do we stand out from the competition? I wanted bright colors. I like wood on walls. I love that look. Yeah. And I want to make sure we had, colorful, bright couches. And it seemed to be something that gets us on the front page no matter. I mean, at one point we were up to 30 apartments, which was absolutely insane.
Nuts. Hold on, y'all. 30 apartments. And I know you, like you said, you started in 2020.
Yep, correct.
Moving up to 30 apartments.
Quick.
That's crazy.
It was one of those things where probably ran a little faster than we needed at the beginning, but the opportunity was there. And then like going into that COVID and right after COVID was prime time because everyone was traveling.
Yeah.
So it was a good time for Airbnb. It's a good time for short-term rentals. Now my stance on that motto has changed. Things have changed. And really what we found out here soon is that a lot of the apartment game, unless you want to go a longer term stay, it's getting really saturated.
Okay.
So what we do is now we're focused in on property management of other people's places and also focusing more in on houses and not apartments. So I'm trying to turn this model into true assets.
Super
so
dope.
I want to get houses and I want to, you've actually been to one of the houses.
Man, I'm telling you, listen, this house, man, to see what it came from.
Yeah.
To where the front of it is all cedar. Like I'm definitely, as we're talking, you should be able to see some of this house within the shot here. I'll bring it up within the shot so people can actually see what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And this is just crazy.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy, man.
It is crazy. And the crazy part about it is that was my grandma's house. That was my grandma and grandpa's
that
house.
story, I love it.
It meant a lot for me to like do it right. Yeah. I wanted to do right by them. I wanted to also turn this into something that the family could be proud of too. Like, yeah, look what this house has come. Right. So, we did that. I bought the lot next door, and now we're working on buying the next door neighbor's house. And all these backyards come together, and we want to do something real big out there.
Oh, I can't wait to see that.
Yeah. So I'm working on that.
To see that.
We're working on that for the end of the year. I want to make sure that's when the neighbors will be ready to move. Really cool people. They like what we're doing. Yeah. So they want it, sell it to me, which I absolutely love that.
If you need the visuals, you know who to call.
Yeah, straight up. Yeah. So the Airbnb model. I mean that kind of stuff. It was one of those things where I wanted to make sure I got in the game, and I wanted to do it right. Right. I didn't want to automatically leave my job. Now that ended up happening naturally when we got up to 30 places.
Right.
Too much. Like I was like, okay, I can't do 8 hours at the job of a job I really enjoyed. And then also on the flip side, I'm going, and then after that, I got my daughter to take care of. I'm also doing, I'm also trying to handle everything that goes along with the Airbnb game, cleaning, guests, messaging, all the things. Yeah.
Yeah, almost deaf. So if I'm a person, I have $1,000, right? I've received my taxes. I maybe have $1,500. Can I get started with something like that? Is there a way to get started? What should I do to get started in that area?
So,
right? How do I set myself up for that?
If you were coming into the game with that amount of money, and you were serious about it, I would maybe get on with other people.
Yeah,
it's all about collection and pooling because you got some key questions that you need answered.
Right.
How's the business going to run? As far as like who's going to be doing all the messaging?
Yeah. Okay.
Who's doing the cleaning?
Yeah.
Right? Do you want it to be you? Do you have the time to go from, when people check out at 10 till the next person comes in at 3? Do you have time in your day to go clean? If not, who are you going to pay? How much is it going to cost? So if you have, let's say you got $1,000, I would think about starting something with someone else. Or if you really have a good conviction and, everything with finances, when you're talking about money can be a gamble, right? Nothing's for sure, but you can almost make it bulletproof.
Right.
So if you feel good about that, a business loan, you can look into that. They are still giving money for business loans and short-term rentals.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And see, I just want people that's watching to understand, like, you could do this. This could be done. And looking at people with our, that look like us.
Yeah.
Some of them don't have this information or they're not exposed to that. And how do you view that as far as the importance of exposing this type of information?
It is like, it is to me. It's the number one thing. Like gatekeeping is for what? I want us all to win. Yeah. And this is just the avenue I chose for now. But I'm dead set. I'm an entrepreneur I will be doing something outside of this and outside of Northwestern Mutual. It will just keep rolling for me because I got that spirit in me now.
Right.
And I can just see, like, I like being in control and having control of how much money that I can make.
Wow.
That is powerful in itself. Scary. No doubt. No doubt it's scary.
Yeah.
There's some key questions you got to answer, like health insurance. How am I going to feed the family, right? Because it's going to take a little bit of time to build up cash, especially if you want to grow.
Yeah.
How much do you put back in the business? How much do you take out personally? So I would always tell people to dip the toe in. Don't quit. Don't quit. Mm-hmm. Don't quit unless you got a great opportunity, like you're going to join a franchise or something, right? You can, it's pretty bulletproof. This is the plan. But do two at once. Take some time. Put some time into what you want to do. It's much needed to reinvest in yourself, so then you can free yourself up later.
Man, you've done some amazing things, especially inside the community, bro.
Trying to.
Like, it wasn't just the Airbnbs. You've actually hooked us up at the church that I was attending and redid the pantry, man. Like, what was that like? Like,
man, that job right there was great. As the first time we've been, called into a church.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to do right by not only by you, not only the customer, but for the community. Like, everyone was excited about getting something new.
Yeah.
And you guys wanted something new for other people. That's a beautiful thing. Those are kind of projects I want to be a part of.
Yeah. Listen, y'all, if what you don't know about him, they have a whole team that will come in and revamp everything. And when I tell you, like, if you look at the set that you're looking at now with me and him sitting right here, if you look at these walls, this was inspired by what they do. These are some of the things that they do. I'm telling you, like, you got to see some of their work. It's amazing. And if you need any body to come in and help you reconfigure some things around, like, you're a interior designer as well, right?
Yeah, it's like, just kind of what it turned into. Really?
Wow, man.
Yeah, it's been. That's the most fun part for me. Yeah. I want to go in there and change the total space. Like, man, I remember this looked totally different. Where's that wall at? That's what I want to do. I want to do some cool stuff.
Yeah. So being that type of decorator, right? I know you know certain spots. How do you pick spots to go, like, hey, I need this. This will work here, and it's not all in one place or one area. How does that work?
So,
what's that process like?
Great question. So for people who are in town or even out of town, it doesn't matter what city you in, all these places have it.
Right.
Make sure you do not go and pay full price for anything. Don't wait. You want to rack up money? That's how you do it, right? You go into Bob's Furniture and you spend $3,000 on the sofa. I'm never doing that. So there's these places around town. I call them truck stores, but what they really are is that these companies go and buy returns and truckloads of things and then put them on their showroom floor. There's a bunch around Indy. There's one called Barton's. There's one. There's one called Indie Wholesale. There's a bunch of places like that you can find, and you can get next to new things for a quarter of the price. So all the couches I've ever gotten are for places like this. Linens, towels, like all that stuff's new. I mean, air fryers. Take some time. It's worth the time to drive to 5 other stores if you're going to save $5,000, at least in my book.
Absolutely. I've always wondered that, going into those homes and going into those theme apartments, I walk around and be like, man, no, this costs a lot of money, right?
Yeah, it can rack up soon. I mean, it can really rack up. I think one of the doing it in one of the buildings that we're in now, she went out and did the whole. I got everything on Wayfair. It's fine.
Yeah.
She probably spent, let's say she's spending 12 to 15,000. I'm spending 4 to 5 to fully furnish an apartment with beds and mattresses, headboards,
accents,
I'm kitchen stuff. I mean, we go fully stock. So it's a huge difference. But it took me, probably outside of our first 2, we spent more money than we ever did. Now I can do what I do in one apartment. I could probably get 3 done.
Wow.
For that price.
Wow. So with all that being said, knowing that we're going through these pieces, right? I know there's a part there where you have a fear of, man, how is this all going to work? This is before, especially when you jumped in. Absolutely. What was that like? It was just like, yo, I know I got the look. I know we have the people in place, but I need to make sure this works. How does this work? Like,
so let me go back real quick. So
yeah, you're good.
I really touched on, I briefly touched on this kid that I met, right?
Right.
One thing that I didn't know is that I was very cautious about money, right? I want to hold on to it.
Yeah.
I want to keep it and tuck it away. But in doing that, it's not growing the way I want it to grow. This kid is fearless. This child, he was in his mid-20s. He came in, raised money, and started a company and never batted an eye. And I'm just like, well, hold up. I'm about 8 years older, 9 years older than him. I'm
Right.
like, well, never in my life had I thought once about doing something like that until I saw it done. And I was just so close in the operation. I'm employee number 3. By the time I left 4.5 years, up to 100 employees. You talk about
Wow.
early growth. And I just seen someone not bat an eye. And I'm just like, well, if he can do that, I can start this little company over here.
Right.
It's just like, it was worth the risk for me. And I was like, okay, let's just say this doesn't work out. We don't get it off the ground. And we just shut it down and we try something else.
And listen, y'all, hometel.com.
Yeah, man, we do it.
The Hometel Group?
Hometel Group. We got a couple Hometel Interiors. We got a few websites we doing, but I've been fortunate to work with good people.
Yeah.
Help along. Business partners are great. The people that we hire, the contractors are great. You got to have a good team for sure.
For sure. And family, man, they've been there to support you, bro.
Yeah.
They've been there. And what's that? How's that felt to have that support that, I know I can lean on family, and I know it takes a toll on everybody.
Yeah.
But how's that felt?
It's just been great. To me, it's been great because we're like-minded. So
Yeah.
Mike has always been the entrepreneur of our family for my generation, right?
Yeah.
So he's had a business since he was like 14, just doing random stuff and selling candy and doing this. And he started the cleaning company.
Right.
And then, then he started doing the Airbnb thing. And I'm like, that is something I need to be a part of. That's what I got to do. Like, how
Right.
do I figure out how to keep my job and do this and also start other things on the side? So just kind of watching him, having him be sort of a mentor, because he's been through most of the problems that we have.
Yeah.
Because we overextended. We were taking on, when we got to 30, we were taking on way too much risk.
Uh-huh.
And when I mean that, I mean that, like, we were getting to a point that if we had, so when you have 30 and let's say 5 of them are not performing, your month can be blown.
Wow.
It's a delicate balance. And, and we were a smaller rising fish. There were people, I know a guy.
I knew
really
he was getting
friends.
calls from everywhere.
Oh, yeah, but he had, before he sold his company, he had over 100 places. 120, people are doing it. But to me, the numbers started not making so much sense if you don't turn into an asset.
Right.
So I want to get out of that game where I am on the hook.
Yeah.
And I want to then switch up the model. So we cut 15 and we kept our best performers. Best move we ever done. And now our goal is now we're going to be trading out trading out apartments for houses, because I want that asset.
Yeah.
Now.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So, absolutely.
For sure.
And that part, please talk about, from apartment to houses. Mm-hmm. Why is it important for ownership to own that house?
So it just you get so much when you have that asset, right? So not only do I have the value within the house,
yeah.
Not only am I paying a lot less mortgage,
mm-hmm.
right? So you're going to bring in more money every single month. So this might sound crazy, so I'm gonna throw some numbers at you guys. It's just my grandma's house, the
right.
one that we built.
Mm-hmm.
It is a 3-bedroom. It was a bath and a half. We made 2 full baths, and we put a movie theater and we put a game room in there. And the most important thing we did was put a hot tub.
Right.
So hot tub are still the number one search thing on short-term rental sites. People want them. So in the last 2 years, that house alone has averaged $80,000. I know that sounds crazy, but when you talk about an asset like a house that is costing us $1,100 a month, we're bringing in 80 grand a year.
80 grand. This is the type of money that you can see. This is why we have these conversations.
Now you're gonna have to put money into it.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to make sure it's done well, but you can get that money back out of it. Absolutely, if you do it right.
So what would be one of the ways that you would help somebody to understand how to create capital to move into that way, right? To move in that direction. I know it's a time piece where they may need to take time.
Yeah.
What would be one of your suggestions
So
that they can?
we didn't come much out of pocket. One of our partners put in more. Shout out to Blaine. Put in more money.
Shout out to Blaine.
Yeah, shout out to Damian Blaine. He's a great guy. He put in a little more money, but what we did was we had to use the capital that we were making from the arbitrage model.
Right.
Take that money. It took us about a year.
Yeah.
We took that money, got the house. We took that money and then bought the lot next door. And now we're going to take this money again and buy the house next door.
Oh, that's going to be crazy. Listen, we're going to run the break real quick. We got a commercial break, and then we'll be right back to finish this conversation. I'm telling you, this conversation is good. I hope that you're getting something from it and being inspired to go out and be an entrepreneur and get the facts and do the research, right? And if you have any questions, definitely reach out. I can get you connected with Brandon. All right. We'll be right back. So we know what it is as far as what we're trying to do and what we were talking about is how would you suggest somebody get that capital?
Yeah.
The capital.
The capital piece is interesting. I mean, you can get a traditional home loan, but then you need to figure out how am I going to pay for the down payment? Mm-hmm. And then B, how are we going to get things done on the inside? Right. So, we actually got a traditional home loan. And then what we did after that was we got also a construction loan on top of that. So we tied it in with our mortgage company, got a construction loan. Mm-hmm. It was my first full flip. So we were about 15,000 under what I needed to get. I won't do that again. That is not something that I would mess up again, but it's one of those things you got to kind of get into it. When you start messing with plumbing and things like that, I mean, we knocked down walls, created a whole new kitchen, and I was just a little bit under where I needed to be. But that's the way we did it, and that's the way we continue to do it. But we're actually kind of, again, like we like to do, now that the concept is proven, we are going to, more than likely, we're going to raise money and pay for houses out of pocket.
Yeah.
And then on the back end, we'll throw a mortgage on the house and pay our investors back.
It's going to be crazy.
So how that works is basically I'm going to come and say, I'm in the process right now. I'm saying, okay, you've reached out to me before. You said you've been interested. We haven't known how to, people that I want to work with. Hey, I want to get into this. How do I do it?
Right.
I'm like, okay, so here's what I'm going to do. If you have some money and don't really want to get in, but you want to get that growth.
Right.
I'm going to come in and say, okay, starting at 10 grand, you can give as much as you want, but the floor will probably be 10, maybe 5, depending on what ends up happening. But what we'll do is I'll offer a 10% return if it takes me a year. Right. Mm-hmm. So, but I'm going to guarantee, even it's going to be kind of high at first. I'm going to guarantee you 6%. Right. I'm going to say 6%. That gives us 6 months, which is going to be, I won't need that.
That's going to be crazy.
6 months. And let's say every month on the first, let's say it actually takes me 8 months. I'm going to add 2 more % on. So now you get 8% return and I'm going to give it back to you in 6 months. As soon as we're done, we put a mortgage on the house. We pay our investors back right away. Right. So that's
I know you don't play with money. I already know.
We're going to get it going like that. And then boom, here's your money back. And what the plan is like, oh man, I didn't do anything. I just kind of sat around, my money grew. And now what's the next thing y'all doing?
Right.
So that's my plan. I really like that. Again, limiting exposure and making sure we can move quickly are important to me. And also people just want to get involved. people like to invest and not
Absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
it's a thing.
And the crazy thing is that you're not running around with gray hair.
Oh, no.
You're not 60 years old doing this. Like, bro, you're in your 30s, like really making these big moves, man.
Trying to.
And I remember coming from the generation I'm from, like, we didn't see moves like this being made. I know from our culture, from where I'm from, like, we didn't see that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's huge. So that you're more than, to me, watching the stuff that you and Mike and everybody are doing, man. Like, I'm so appreciative to watch young black men do this in the community in a positive way, right? And to be mentors, just to be an example, right? And to teach people. My other piece is, I got a question, like, when are you going to do your workshop? Have your e-course? Like, we need this type of information. I know the world needs this information, especially here in Indianapolis.
So, that's a really good question, because me and Mike been kind of throwing that around. Like, do we want to do a course in an ebook?
Yeah.
And
the money's there.
The money's there. The money's definitely there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a course in ebook is good. I've to be completely transparent, I've seen some bad ones.
Yeah.
Even the ones in the space, and I'm like, ooh, no. Like, I saw an ebook the other day about this whole Airbnb arbitrage model that told the people, don't tell the owners what you're really doing. I'm like, don't do that.
Right.
Because then what happens when something goes south?
Right.
They don't know what, you know what I mean? That's just grounds for them to remove you ASAP.
In sales, that's what we call you're selling a return, because you're not giving the people the whole truth and things like that. You're just selling a return for them to come back real quick and say, look, man, I just want to get out of this, and you owe us.
Correct.
By the way,
that's a bait and switch. I don't want to be a part of it. Like, and then you might get sued. That's what you don't want to have happen to you.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Tell me of a funny moment, though, bro. Tell me of a funny moment experience with a customer that you've had. It was like, oh my gosh.
This is what's been wild is, like, we do a good job of screening ourselves, so we don't have a bunch of bad things happen in parties, right?
Yeah.
So, but like, for the actual, I can laugh about it now, but trust me, I was so mad. Our first stay at the house, I got finessed by a 17-year-old girl.
Wow.
Finessed. She said she was her mother.
Wow.
There were signs. I was excited.
Yeah.
Right. I let my emotions kind of dictate. You know what? This sounds perfect. But now I look back on it, it was fishy all around. I'm not from the state. Yeah. My daughter's going to come there early. Come to find out, we have cameras everywhere. There's like 30, 16-year-old kids running around the house, and I got the neighbors calling me. And I'm like, wow. Yeah. So it's funny now, but it wasn't funny then. But like stuff like that, people are going to try to finesse you.
Yeah.
It's just kind of part of the game. But they usually will reveal themselves with, once you ask the right questions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
man, that is crazy. That is nuts. And like I said, when you guys see this house, or you're looking at this house, you see when you first walk up in there, it's like this cedar. It's all cedar and it's all extravagant, laid over this black paint. It's so dope, man. And then when you walk through the door is the paneling. Like, I'm just telling you, the detail that's been put in this house, it's been crazy. And for somebody to, man, bro, and I know it meant so much to you since his grandmother's house, right?
Right.
And I was fortunate enough to be there for the reveal.
Yeah.
To see, I almost dropped the camera because of the way she started crying.
Yeah. Like,
that was amazing, dog.
It's special. It was special. She just wanted to, she sold it to me because she was like, I want you to do well. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Not everyone is like that, right? We know.
Yeah.
We don't do a great job of reaching down all the time.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think the younger generations are starting to figure out that we can do this the same. It's the same reason why I'm now going to be a financial advisor, because you can have $1 million or millions of dollars and not make $1 million. It's what you do with the money. That's what people are doing. We're not using all the tools, and it's unfair. And I want to change that as much as I can.
Bro, I can't wait. I can't wait till you have your workshops. I can't wait because I need to be a part of them. And I know if you having some, I'm pushing people towards your way, especially to talk about some of these things because I know there's a gap. There's a gap of information. I know there's people online. We watch some of these shows. We watch some of these live events. But I'm saying here in the city of Indianapolis, I'm not seeing it. You might see it in Houston.
Yep.
You might see it in LA. You might see it in New York. You might see it some other places, but I'm not seeing it on that level. My wife is actually in real estate. She does a great job and she's into all those things, the financial part of it, right? But on a grand scale, right? I don't see it here in Indianapolis, and I think there's a gap here, and it's missing. If it is here in Indianapolis, so please forgive me. I just haven't seen the market for it. I mean, I haven't seen the marketing or the campaigns. I see the gap. I see there's a need, and I think that you're the person, especially with the real life examples, the real life information, the real time, and with the mistakes, you're able to talk about that and able to show people I can get you from point A to point B if you just listen.
Yeah, I think it's, and there's some people doing some good work in the city. Of course, we're not saying that, but you're right. This is on a grand scale. This isn't obviously we're not Houston, we're not Atlanta, right. This is the population's not quite there, but it's like you talking about earlier. You said the gatekeeping of information. I just don't understand it.
Yeah, man. I think it's a lot of, when it comes to gatekeeping, it's a lot of control.
Yeah, of course.
A lot of control. I can't allow you to have access to this information because I have it and you need to come through me to get it.
Yeah.
And I really don't appreciate that. Versus if you're a person that likes to share and say, hey man, look, I like to see you grow. You're 21. I see you trying to do some things in the community. I see a bright future for you. Here, take this information. I need to see you run with it and hold you accountable with that information.
Yeah,
right.
For sure.
Yeah, man. And I just think gatekeeping is like, I just hate it. I can't tolerate it, bro. I can't tolerate it.
And as a community too, we need to be more open to people, right? Like I gain nothing from telling you information that's false.
Right.
What does it matter to me? I don't want to do that. And I just from the industries I've worked in, I've worked with a lot of people who don't look like me. And and I get to kind of,
what was that like?
It's so I went from Lawrence Central. It was about 50-50, right? Like, and then I went to Purdue. It is not that. I mean, we're talking less than 10%. It may be less than like 4%.
Wow.
Right. So since then, and then I went to the environmental industry, which I may have had one other guy in my class, in all my classes. So it was one of those things that I jumped right into it, and it's always been a part of my life.
Yeah.
To the point where I didn't notice it until you like step away from it. It's like, man.
Yeah.
But in doing that, I got to kind of sit in the room and be like, wait, what are y'all doing? Mm-hmm. Wait, your parents did what? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. They working with who? Oh, okay. Well, how does that work?
Right. You can ask those questions now.
Yeah. They're like, oh yeah, I'm in the room. Right.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, okay, so this is how people
That's valuable.
Move and live. And this is how I think how you think about in your relationship with money is so important to overall success. Again, you can make $500,000 in literally, paycheck to paycheck living. It's what you do with it. It's the life you want to live. There's a couple I met the other day. I was actually shadowing somebody on a call.
Uh-huh.
It's a couple. They make $70,000 together and are saving like $12,000 a year on top of what they're already doing their 401ks. And I'm just like, that's how you plan, right?
Right.
He was happy in his job. She's a teacher. I think he might have been an early cop. They love what they do. They don't want to change.
Okay.
But how can we they're saving enough money. They'll be millionaires by the time they retire. They'll have millions in the bank to live off of. And if they want to kick that down to their kids, they'll have enough to do it. Right? Or there's somebody you talk to, he makes $250, and every week he's waiting for that check to hit.
I think part of that is proximity too.
Of course.
Part of being close to people that have that knowledge understanding that knowledge, and wanting to share. So this is why I keep coming back to that, bro. You gotta have something for the people, bro.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying trying to apply pressure to you or nothing like that, but like I said, you're a great example here in what's going on in the community, man, and looking at that success. Being from Lawrence Central.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know what
sure.
it's about. You know everybody don't.
No.
Yeah.
No, man. Yeah. It's just, and to me, it's not only maybe a lifestyle, but it's the knowledge of being like, there's another way. Like you could. And these tools, and I understand like there's always been a mistrust at our community.
Yeah.
With a place like a Northwestern Mutual, I can't wait to start hitting the phones hard and just kind of talk through that with people.
Yeah.
Like, look, I understand. I get why you might be a little uncomfortable and say, well, how do we know this is going to grow at a 6%? I can't guarantee you anything, but this is what it's done over the last 50 years. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. This is how you position yourself. Oh, so you're telling me I can save this money and then at this year you can see exactly how much? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, this is exactly what your number is going to look like.
So where do you see, who are you mentoring now? So I want to talk about that part of mentoring, and then I want to get into the future.
It's interesting, man. I'm almost up because I have taken information from people and just sucked it out of them. And now it's time for me to give it back.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll be kind of getting my groove in this new gig, but like I'm ready for that piece to be like, all right, this is what I've picked up, and now I want to like share it and give it. You're right, man. I need to get off the couch on this.
Yeah.
email.
Yeah.
I'd love to do classes too.
Yeah.
Somebody would be really interested. I mean, from point A of being like, well, how do I register with the state to start a business? Oh, yeah, this is how you do it. It may seem like a big burden, but that's the easiest part about all of this.
Absolutely.
Go in there, get your LLC, S Corp, C Corp. You probably want to do that stuff now. Start with something as simple as an LLC. Protect yourself. Find some like-minded people if you're looking for capital.
Right.
Make sure and just have a good business plan. Fall back on that business plan. And don't get so stuck into changing. You have to, if you want to survive, you're going to have to change the way you think. You're going to have to shift.
Good. Listen, future. Where do you see yourself? Where do you see Brandon, Hometel Group, Mike, all of y'all in the next 5 years?
So
what's next?
Commercial. Okay. So Mike kicked off a company, which basically it's a part of what we do in offerings for Hometel. But Mike is a forward thinker.
Absolutely.
So him and Matt went and started, hey, man, how do we do epoxy flooring?
Shout out to Matt.
Matt's great. Also a family.
Artist. Crazy.
He is a
crazy artist.
He's great. Custom stuff. He's just great. So Mike's like, man, this is going to be the wave of the future. People want to do epoxy flooring. And I'm like, yeah, that's dope. Okay. So they go off. He spins off another company doing that. Again, it's a Hometel offering, but Mike and Matt are running that.
Right.
So now I'm like, I like this idea of us doing commercial jobs. Let's go into a 500,000 square foot building and let's do polished concrete. Let's do a grind, and like we can do all of that now because Mike made that decision. So what I can do now is I can sell his company and I can sell Hometel.
Yeah.
I can make a commission off that.
Yeah.
Right. As a salesperson for his company, and we can keep growing and expand our offerings that way. So I see a lot of this like outside of the houses because that's going to keep rolling. But if we start moving into this like polished concrete epoxy realm, good money involved, margins are good, and we can grow.
Bro, listen, we're at the end, and I definitely have more. Definitely have more. We got to have you back, man.
We can do it.
I want to show people some of the work and all of those things, man. Listen, you've been listening to Brandon. Where can they find you? Where can they find you at?
You can find me on LinkedIn. That'd probably be the easiest way. I'm not too active on Instagram or anything like that.
Okay.
That will change here recently. But you can find me on LinkedIn, Brandon Barlow. That'd probably be the easiest way as I start building up my social because I'm going to have to for this financial advising piece. Yeah,
for sure. If you need any contact information too as well, reach out to me, inbox me. I can definitely get you guys connected and different things like that, because I know I need a Hometel commercial to run on here,
for sure.
Yeah, we need to talk about that as well, or read. But listen, man, this has been great. This has been wonderful. I appreciate you for tuning in. Thank you for watching this another episode. And my friend Brandon, man, give it up for him.
Appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, straight up. Hometel Group. All right. Love you, and we out. Peace.